Greetings and welcome to the Dakota County Star Podcast, the official podcast of the Dakota County Star newspaper published in Sioux City, Nebraska. I'm Michael Carnes, publisher of the Dakota County Star, and your host for our weekly podcast where we talk about what's going on in Sioux City and the rest of Dakota County. We'll highlight what is in this week's edition of the Dakota County Star and discuss, well, you never really know what will be coming up because, quite frankly, I'm not even sure what we'll be talking about week to week because that's just how I roll. The Dakota County Star Podcast is sponsored by, well, right now we don't really have a sponsor as we're just trying to get this thing started. But if your business would like to be featured on our podcast, give me a call at 402-494-4264, or you can email me at mike@dakscostar.com, and we can make that happen. For a small price, of course. And now, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Hey, welcome to the Dakota County Star Podcast, the official podcast of the Dakota County Star, the official newspaper of Sioux City and Dakota County. I'm Mike Carnes, your host here for the Dakota County Star Podcast, where we sit down and chat. We like to chat with people in the community and talk about what's going on in Sioux and in Dakota County. And I thought, since we're talking about Sioux City, we might as well go right to the top and talk to the mayor of Sioux City, Rod Koch, who has been the mayor for, how long have you been mayor now?
10 years.
10 years. So Rod is the head cheese here in Sioux, if you will, and so we thought we'd sit down and chat with him, talk about the city and what's going on in town. So, Mr. Mayor, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. And a lot of people mispronounce my last name. It's actually Koch.
Koch, okay.
Koch, yep.
So like Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then we'll get that. We got that taken
Just
care of.
FYI.
All right. Appreciate that.
Yep.
You're a lifelong resident. Tell me about your life here. I know you've lived here all your life. Went to school at Sioux.
Yeah, I'm originally from Akron, Iowa. Moved here when I was 9 years old. Lived here basically ever since. Went to Sioux City High School. I went to St. Mike's grade school. Then from there I went to Sioux High School.
Okay. Went
down to University of Nebraska at Omaha for a year. Then I went to USD and I got my bachelor's and my master's degree there and became a city administrator. But during my time and then during college, lived in Sioux City basically all that time, and I worked for the city. I worked in the parks department. I mowed the parks. I did rode the garbage truck for probably 3 years. Street department. The only thing I didn't do was the electric department, because that's obviously wasn't qualified for that. But so anyway, I worked for the city for probably 5 years. I was going to college, which was really nice, and then after that, 2 of those years, after I got my degree, I worked for Simcoe for one summer as an intern, and then I went to grad school. Then that first summer of grad school, I worked for the city again. Then the next time I got my master's degree, I went to Simcoe again, and they offered me a full-time job, and I was kind of starting there, and then I became city administrator of Grettinger, Iowa, at age 24. Mm-hmm. And so it's a small town in northwest Iowa. I thought it was a good place to start, and I had gotten married, had a son by then, and my parents still lived here in Sioux City. So anyway, I was there for about approximately a year and a half. And then I came back and got a job at Great West Casualty. It was just going to be a short stint at Great West Casualty. 38 and a half years later, here I sit at Great West Casualty. I tell you what, it's a great place to work. I've loved it. It's been awesome.
Now, what do you do at Great West?
I'm Assistant Vice President of Support Services. I handle all claims support in the company. Okay. Like OCPs, Office Claims Processors, all work comp support, claim support in general. Just a lot of hodgepodge. It's approximately around 100. That includes about 135, 140 people. I don't manage 135, 140 people, but that's under the umbrella. We have blessed with great managers out there. So it's a great place to work. I just love it out there, and I'll retire from there.
Yeah. Did when you were city administrator in Iowa, did you ever imagine that by this time in your life that you would be at Great West and the mayor of your hometown?
No, I did not. I actually thought my goal was to be to be a city administrator for a bigger city. I was looking like maybe a Kansas City or Omaha. That was my goal. And for some personal reasons, I had to come back here for a while. But when I got here and when I started working at Great West, And I figured out this is where I'm going to be. It was a kind of a child custody thing, and I love South Sioux City. I've lived here. All my friends are here, and I know a ton of people here. Mm-hmm. And so then I started getting interested in. I thought I should get on a board. I got a degree in political science, and so I thought I might as well try to get on some boards, and I did. I got on the Public Housing Authority in the early '90s, and I was on that for a while. And then an opening came up in the council, and I put my name in to be appointed, and I got appointed by Sandy Eric in 2008. Did that for 2 years, and I got elected in 2010.
On the city council?
On city council in 2014, 18, and 22, I got reelected as mayor.
So you first ran for mayor in 2014?
Yep.
Then?
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to go for that position?
I did something, once I got into the politics of it, in my life, I coached a lot of sports. I coached a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball, a lot of kids football. And I just like the idea of being the coordinator of it, And then when I got in city politics, that was where all my education was. And I thought, this is something I can do. And if I'm going to do this, I might as well just, I want to try to be the mayor. I had watched Sandy Eric do it, and I'd watched Bob Giese for a while, and I'm thinking, that's something I would like to do. It's nothing more than that. So I just thought I'd put my name in for it, and I was lucky enough to get voted in.
Yeah, and you've been mayor for this is your third term now. Yeah. And what have you learned over those 12 years or 10 years now you've been mayor?
I can tell you this: in the politics, what I've learned is you can't get anything done without cooperation from other people. You cannot be a bully, because people, even if they agree with you, if they feel bullied, they won't work with you, and vice versa. And I've made some great friends on that council. But over the years, I've talked to several of them, and I'll accuse them jokingly, you must not really want your idea to pass. Well, why is that? Because the way you're trying to strong arm everybody, I said even myself, even if I liked it, I wouldn't vote for it because I'm not going to be strong armed. So I've learned is talk to people and actually listen to what they're saying. Don't just listen so you can say your piece. Mm-hmm. Listen, validate what they're saying, and listen to them. And if someone goes to tell me something, I already know that. I don't say that. I let them tell me, even though I think I might know what they're going to say. They just need to have their say, be validated. And a lot of times when people feel heard, then all of a sudden you can have a better discussion, And it's not about winning the discussion, not winning my idea. It's about getting on board and getting some collaboration and doing what's right for the city. And I tell you, Mike, this South Sioux City has some of the best department heads. Lance Hedquist, he's just outstanding. I wouldn't say one of the best in the state. Well, I'd say one of the best in the country. And we have Mike Schmidt, our city attorney, is just outstanding. We have so many good department heads. Nancy Walsh. We have Ed Mahon, the police chief, and we have Oscar Gomez as our economic development director. Kent Zimmerman. I don't want to leave anybody out, but Gene Moffitt. But I tell you what, I can honestly say Lance has built one heck of a dedicated, transparent team. And when you go to those guys with the question, they put their heart and soul into this place. I mean, to a person, it just amazes me, the culture, and I just really like being a part of it. And that's one of the reasons I ran for mayor the last time. I just enjoyed it, and I enjoyed being around the people, and I just it's an exercise in the decision-making process and the election process, and really learn a lot about how government works.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed in the time I've been here, and I've been following city government here for about 5 or 6 years. Bought the paper a year ago, but I've been working for the previous owner before then. One of the things I noticed was that there's a lot of I guess what I'm trying to think of the right word here. There's a lot of continuity is the word I think I'm looking at in city government here. You don't have a lot of people going in and out of certain positions. People that have been here a while. I think the only change I've seen has been the fire chief. You've been through a couple of fire chiefs, and now you got a really good one with Doug Koopman, it's been really, really kind of interesting to see that this city has the kind of consistency in leadership that it has here.
Yeah, and you're spot on. The continuity is huge. It's consistency. It's continuity, and but we're all aging. Sure. And it's going to start. We still have some people in there that are got a few years ago, but people are approaching retirement age, and we're thinking about, as we move forward, thinking about replacing some key positions, and I tell you what, we are always humbled by the positions we do have open. The young people that come in, well, not just young people, just any age, we're amazed by the talent that is out there, and they are so smart and they are so good, and they want to be part of that culture. And South Sioux City, the police department, fire department, and city hall, extremely low turnover. So I think that's a testament to the way we run the ship.
Yeah. Usually when you have a lot of turnover within a department, that there's usually a reason for that, and it's usually not the best working environment
right.
in that department. But it seems that from my perspective, it seems that this city has got some good people running the show.
There's no question in my mind. I'm very humbled at the talent. And talking about the council, the last opening we had to be selected, appointed, I think we had 10 people put their name in, and 10 very qualified people.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very tough decision, and I would like to see those people that are putting their name in to be appointed. I would like to see them jump in the race. Next time the race comes open, it's to run for a position, run for mayor, run for city council, run for anything. You put yourself out there and you open yourself up for criticism. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay, because you need leaders. You need people that can take a little criticism. If they have a good heart, people will follow you if they think you're being honest and you have a good heart and you have their interest in mind. Mm-hmm. And not just them specifically. I think if they feel like you have the town's interest in mind, people will follow you.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
I think one other thing you were talking about, the people who have put their names in the city council. Your most recent one was Jahida Schultz.
Yep.
That took over for Jason Bowman when Jason had to step down.
Yes.
And I know initially there was some questions as to why you would bring on the wife of a current sitting city councilman.
Right.
And it's not unusual that two spouses are on the same board together, but there's still some concern as to whether that was a good idea or not. I think from watching Jahida perform as a city councilwoman, I don't think it was a bad choice. I don't know who the other options were, but I think she's done a good job in that position.
Yeah, and people don't know is Jahida had put her name in before when we appointed Monty Peters. And what I usually tell people that put their name in, I always recommend, hey, get on a volunteer board, do something, show some interest, show some initiative, and kind of help yourself and show us you got some initiative. So we didn't select her. So then Jason Bowman resigned, then she put her name in again. So first thing I did was I looked at all the candidates and I looked at hers, and I saw that she had put some time in. She got on the LEC board, and she was trying to get more involved. And so I mean, like I said, I don't want to diminish her any, but it was a tough decision. But it was good enough that we felt that she had put the time in. And yes, her husband is on there. I really tried to box that out, and before we appointed her, I made crystal clear that I expected, independent votes, and I was of course reassured by both. Ben does an outstanding job. Jahida does an outstanding job, and I just felt it was a good representation for our community, and I thought she would do a good job, and she was unanimously approved by the council, and so on we go.
Yeah. Now you mentioned getting involved in other boards. What are some of those boards or groups that somebody could get if something should happen where you need to replace a councilman at some point down the road? What are some of those boards?
That'd be Planning and Zoning Commission. We got the Citizens Advisory Committee. We have Law Enforcement Center Board. And if you apply and there's no openings, you can still apply and have your name be on there. But we have the Library Board, we have the Park Board, we have the Tree Board. And we have openings all the time. And if you're interested, we would be more than happy. Just call Lance Hedquist at City Hall or Oscar Gomez. More than happy to see what we have open right now and get you on a board. And if you say, hey, you know what, I'm interested in being on the Parks Board. And a lot of times, if we don't have an opening, but sometimes we don't have an opening now, but come on down to the meetings and you can have input. Mm-hmm. And then when one does come open, and those boards, we need volunteers for boards. because a lot of times, like the Planning and Zoning Commission, sometimes we get a tough time getting a quorum there, and we need their approval on a lot of things that come to the city council. Sometimes we can't get it. We have to wait another session or two till they get enough people to make a vote and have a quorum.
That's one thing that I think in a lot of cities have that issue is they have these volunteer boards that finding people to fill those positions is tough. I know when I lived in Wayne, I served on a library board for a short time, and we were understaffed on that board at that time when I got on it. But when you're talking about a parks board or a library board, what do those boards do? Is it where the parks director says, "Hey, we need a new scoreboard at the softball complex. Here's what we got." What's involved with that?
Say, for example, the library board. South Sioux City has one of the best libraries around. We have that aviary in there, and we have Cicely is our library director. Mm-hmm. She does a great job. We have all kinds of kids programs. So when you're on the library board, one of the things you'll do is you'll have your meetings. You'll talk about how it's going with the library, how the building, the condition of the building, the condition of the staff. Are we properly staffed? How are the hours? What's our attendance? What are the biggest issues of the day? Mm-hmm. They talk about that. What can we do to make their life easier? Things like that. And so that's the library board. And the big thing with them right now is getting an upgrade to that building because it needs help. Parks board, we talk about the campground. We talk about the condition of the ground, mm-hmm. keeping it mowed. We talk about Freedom Park down here and making sure that we keep that kind of a sacred place as far as, we don't want cars down there. And I mean, we want cars down there, but we don't want people down there defacing property and using it as a playground. And we really want to keep that place a good place, mm-hmm. And a destination. But the Parks Board, they do so much. We maintain the trails. They got, I don't know how many parks we have in this town. We have 22 miles worth of trails they have to maintain. Gene Moffitt does such an excellent job. He applies for grants, and he takes care of trees, and he's always getting donated trees from different places. You go to our meetings, you see that. We mm-hmm. get all these trees, and we had to cut down I don't know how many 1,000 ash trees because of the ash borer, and they've had to do that. And so Gene is on top of that. And so a lot of another thing with the parks, people want to come into our parks and have a car show. They want to come in and they want to play soccer, maintain all the soccer fields, the car show, the movie wall, all that stuff. And our campground is one of the most popular campgrounds around. And we have waiting lists to get in there.
It's a beautiful campground. Yeah. I've been in there a few times. I like to go in there and take my drone with me and then go shoot shots over the river and shoot around that area. Oh, yeah. And it is a beautiful campground. in fact I'm trying to convince my daughter to sell me her camper so I can just move in there because it's such a neat place.
They have long-term campers down there.
They do.
Yeah, I mean. A good friend of mine just said, "Well, you guys have that trailer court down by the river." I said, "Well, the funny thing is a lot of people have campers. They'll go down there and just park it and just go down there some nights on weekends in their camper. They're still mm-hmm. camping. They go home if they need to, but they got a camper.
Yeah,
and it's still fun. You're camping.
Yeah.
We have a deal with the Y where the campers can go swim. They have internet. They have all the service, electricity. They have all the services." And the city makes good money on that campground. And
I've noticed we had the flooding here last year that got into the tent camping area, and I've noticed that a lot of work has been done over in that area, and then I think the soccer complex as well, because we lost a lot of soccer fields to that flooding. How is that progressing?
That's good. They call it the island. They had a little water in the middle, then if you go around, that's where all the campsites were. Uh-huh. That was all underwater. We had to replace all those receptacles, those electric. We got some money from NEMA, but the soccer fields, they will flood once in a while, and it does. We've talked about pushing down a berm further down, and maybe protecting that. Very expensive, but the soccer field. When we had the flood in 2000, I think it was 11, all this nastiness came out of the river. It looked like the landscape of the moon all over our soccer fields. I think we took out 600 loads of sand.
Oh, my goodness.
And this isn't sand you put in the sandbox.
Right.
This is industrial stuff in the sand that you don't want your kid touching.
Right.
So we took out 600 loads, and if we would have pushed that back into the river, the whole city, we've all been put in jail. I mean, that's all, and I'm not joking. The Army Corps of Engineers, they do not think that's funny. They will get on you. Once that sand's on your land, you own that sand, and you have to deal with it.
Now, where did you take that sand then?
We had some places we could dispose of it too. They were approved by the Army Corps, and sometimes some could be used for roads, a little bit of it, but it was just kind of useless, but it was it was just intimidating to see. And if you went to Omaha, down by where you cross over by the Mormon Bridge there, that was the worst. I mean, they had sand dunes all over the place. This rotten sand, which was good for nothing. They had it all over, and I tell you how fast they built that road down there. They put a lot of crews on it, but so that's what we do with the fields. Right now, the fields are in good shape, and Gene does a nice job with the fields, and we have a lot of kids playing on those, and we rotate. We give them rests. We rotate teams and kids as teams and adult teams, and it's soccer in South Sioux City is huge. And there's a lot of enthusiasm, I can tell you. And as you can tell, our boys' team just beat Millard North a couple weeks ago or last week.
Lost a heartbreaker Friday night to Omaha South. It was a great soccer match. It was just disappointing that they came up short in that. But
did you go?
I didn't. I watched it. I was out of town this week, and I watched it on the internet.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was kind of funny. I'm sitting in a restaurant in O'Neill, sitting there by myself. All these other people are. They're kind of looking over me like, what's he watching? And I'm kind of reacting to the action and stuff like that. And it was kind of funny. But yeah, the team played a fantastic game. Just came up short. But
the South Sioux soccer coaches have done such an outstanding job. They got these kids that are dedicated. It sounds to me like a lot of them are going to go to college and play soccer. Yeah,
they got 5 that are going to college to play soccer. 3 are going to Morningside to play soccer. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really neat. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the issues in town right now. I know the biggest issue in town right now is the need for housing. We've got a lot of industry here in town. A lot of industry wants to come to town. We've got a casino that's going to be coming up here in the next couple of years, and right now and I speak from this as somebody that wants to move to South Sioux City. Trying to find a place to live here in South Sioux is tough.
It's tough.
What's some of the things going on right now?
Well, we have Ho-Chunk. They got the Ho-Chunk development down there by the river. They continue to build houses there and expand that every year. So that's they're starting to build more houses there. But the easy thing for a city to do is to continue to build apartment buildings, and we feel that South Sioux City is over 50% rental, and we feel that, and especially I want to promote home ownership, because I think when you own your home, and I'm not saying that because you live in an apartment you still not dedicate the community, but I think if you own your home, you get more of a sense of pride in the community, you have more of a sense of pride in yourself, and so we really want to see more homes being built. In Gary Ogden, Andy Hovey, Ho-Chunk, and then we got what's his name, Roy Perry. He's going to build. He was at the Public Works last night. He's teaming with a gal, and he's going to build like 75 homes, and they're going to be nice homes, and they're going to be for sale, and they're going to be, I think, unfinished basements. So they're going to be nice houses. The thing about it is, I think when you build these homes, they got to be affordable. And a brand new house nowadays, you're going to get lucky to get $3.25 for a bare bone home. And so, I think if we have those homes, we could keep some teachers and anybody that wants to come to our city and have a place to live. But he's going to build these homes, and then I just want to make sure they have enough space, yard, basement, and space, to live. I don't want them built right on top of each other. But I think that people could come in and start, and these guys are building these homes. And like I said, Hovey and Ogden and Ho-Chunk did a great job. Build these homes and make them desirable to people coming in. Because I can tell you right now, in South Sioux City, metro area, there's a lot of misplaced South Sioux Cityans that have left South Sioux because, like you said, there's no housing.
Right.
I think
so they're living in Sergeant Bluff and Sioux City and
Whispering Creek,
North Sioux City,
Dakota
Dunes.
I'm from South Sioux City, and I don't want to leave South Sioux City. I like living here.
Yeah.
And would I like to have a different house someday? Yeah. My house was built in 1968. But so these guys are coming in. They're building these houses, and I would like to see more housing built, private housing built, less apartments being built. Mm-hmm. I think we got enough. And home ownership. We want to encourage people and help people own their own homes. And what we can do, and this is my thing as mayor, what I've been talking about in the council too, we want to promote home ownership and help people get into a home. And if they have to start an apartment, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Build up your money a little bit and then get a home. But that's what we like South Sioux City to be, is more homes. And not such a transitory community.
Yeah.
Because I feel like right now it's with all the apartments, it's more transitionary.
That's exactly kind of what I think is it's more of a not a drive-through town, but more of a kind of a suburb of Sioux City, yes. and it's technically it is a suburb of this whole Siouxland region is kind of one big region, kind of a smaller version of Omaha,
right?
But at the same time, South Sioux City is its own city.
Yeah.
It was its own city before all this growth and everything, and so I think it needs to have more residential housing so that it can kind of keep that vibe of being a small city, as part of a bigger minor metropolitan area. I don't think Sioux City qualifies as a metro area necessarily yet, but it's it needs to have its own identity.
Sure. And South Sioux City is this. We're next to a big city, but we're only 15,000 people. So we're a small community. Mm-hmm. And I think we get the best of both worlds. We're flat. We're not driving on a bunch of hills, which I like.
Yeah.
And we got great schools. And, it's just, I think, there's not another place in town, I'm a little biased, that I would rather live. I love living right. I work at Great West Casualty. I live here. I work here. And I wouldn't change anything. I love it.
Now, as somebody who actually grew up in small towns, I kind of laugh when I hear you say that this is a small town. It's I've the towns I've lived in. Wayne has been the biggest town I've lived in, and that's about 1/3 the size of South Sioux City. So so I kind of get a kick out of that. But this is a great. And another thing I want to talk about is we've got a lot of industry that is looking at South Sioux City. The one big thing that is on the horizon is the casino. Mm-hmm. The voters in Nebraska approved casinos. That I think was 2020. I think it was. And right now, pretty much there's 6 cities that get casinos, and part of that, people are kind of like, well, why aren't there a casino? Why isn't there a casino in Norfolk? Or why isn't there one? The thing that the people voted for was that the casinos have to be in towns where existing racetracks are at. And while Atticat is not really, it isn't what it was many years ago, but there still technically is a racetrack in South Sioux City, and so South Sioux gets to have a casino here. I've been at pretty much all of the casinos in Nebraska that have been built since that have been passed, and I'm really excited to see what South Sioux is. Can talk a little bit about what from your perspective where we're at in that process in getting a casino here.
We're off to a great start. They're building a racetrack right now on the other side of that I-129, and so I think they have to have 4 or 5 races a year there. I think that alone is going to draw people. I haven't been to I don't think I've ever been to a horse race, so I think that's going to be just something for people to want to go and see. So we're starting the horse track. I get questions all the time. What are you guys building over there?
Yeah.
So then I think they're going to build a casino close by to that. I'm not sure exactly where yet, but it's going to be close by. And if it's going to be anything like the one they built in Lincoln, it's going to be a Cadillac. Mm-hmm. It is a nice looking, and I think eventually there will be a motel there. But I think it's going to be a nice setup, and we're going to have a horse track. And I think Lance Morgan and his team, if they do something, they do it right. They don't mess around. They do it right.
They don't do anything halfway there.
They don't do anything halfway. And something else I'm just going to throw on here. As you know, we just got the Inland Port Authority grant. And so the area from the bridge I-129 south of there, Dakota City, it's kind of an area that us in Dakota City are looking at revitalizing and setting up maps. We have all these different maps, land use, railroad spurs, what highways are going through, what's the water, what's the sewer, what's electricity. And so since we got awarded the Inland Port Authority grant, we're putting together a plan for that. We have to have a vision. What do we want here? What are we thinking? Because we don't want to, say, for example, a casino, and next door to a casino, who knows, an excavating. We want some flow. And so we have at our disposal a lot of funds to help us obtain this Inland Port Authority grant, and we've been talking about it. It's still competitive to get them. And so that's something that I'm really looking forward to, getting that done. Lance Hedquist and Oscar are putting all that together. And then we're going to we have to have a vision. What's our vision? What do we want? So the council is going to have to get involved. We're going to have our vision, and we're going to put that together. And so that will, I think, include whole chunk in the gaming industry building there. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be nice. I tell you, we have such an opportunity. We are extremely lucky to get selected as one of only 5 cities in Nebraska. And we beat out some pretty tough competition to get this.
Yeah, you did.
And so we have to be shovel ready. We have to have a plan. We have to have a vision. We have to have it put together. And so that's where we're at right now. We just met after Public Works last night. We got together. A few of us got together, talked about it. And so that's where we're at. We're putting that together as we speak.
I would love to see some kind of an entertainment district out there, as not just the racetrack and casino, but to have maybe build a small scale auditorium. Something that's maybe not quite, maybe it could be on the same level as Tyson Event Center in Sioux City, and that could bring in a lot of different opportunities for concerts and shows and stuff like. But then you have if you're going to build something like that, then you have to make sure that it's managed properly. Right. That's the one thing that in Ralston they killed their golf course there and put in an arena there, yes. And they've had a lot of problems, or at least initially, they had a lot of problems trying to keep that place busy with activities and stuff. And they have concerts there. I've been to a number of concerts there. They have their football and hockey team. Their indoor football hockey teams play there. Indoor volleyball, the LOVB league played there. So they've been able to put stuff in there. But it took them some time to really understand what they have to do to you can't just build a 6,000 seat auditorium and have it sit empty for months at a time. Yeah. And I think Tyson understands that as well, and that's why you always see concerts and the other stuff that they have going on there. Right. So, but I think it would be great to have some kind of a district there where you have, and not just an arena, but then the restaurants that would be attached to that. Have more restaurant opportunities. I mean, Sioux City's got a number of great restaurants in town, and South Sioux has some nice smaller restaurants as well, but a lot of mom and pops, and I love the mom and pop. I tell you, one of the things that I've enjoyed since I've gotten into the community stuff is I'm one of these guys that either if it's early morning or later in the afternoon, sometimes I just want to sit down. I don't want to. I love the fast food. Dinner in a bag. I've done that forever and ever. But sometimes you just want to sit down. And so there's you have some of these restaurants here in the town. You have some really nice Mexican restaurants. Yes. Crystal Cafe is my favorite. I love going to Crystal Cafe and having breakfast or lunch or dinner there. So it's nice. It's nice to have some small cities don't have those kind. It's either unless you have a Perkins or Sioux City's got a Red Lobster. God bless them. I love seafood, but it'd be nice to have some kind of a district where you have a lot of those opportunities, and those create a lot of jobs with it too. They're not necessarily the kind of jobs more younger people would want to have, but a lot more opportunities to bring employment opportunities and to add to the community.
Yeah, I mean, when you have those type of restaurants, you're right, that attracts people. The number one thing that attracts people to a community is walking paths. The number one thing out of anything else is walking paths.
Mm-hmm.
South Sioux City has 22 miles.
Yeah, you got a beautiful.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're continually, Gene and Lance are continually expanding it. It is outstanding.
Yeah.
But yeah, having those restaurants here, and like, I love the Crystal, I love the Townhouse, I love both those places. And I love the Mexican restaurants. I love them, obviously, but anyway, yeah. So we're just trying to make it conducive with housing to attract businesses. You have to have good schools. You have to get good housing, and you have to have the capacity. And what I don't like to see is people come into the community and they got to live somewhere out of South Sioux, even though they work in South Sioux.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see them. Hey, we want to keep you here.
Yeah.
And when I started at Great West in 1986, I would venture to guess probably 98% of the people lived in South Sioux. Now I would venture to guess 98% of the people live out of South Sioux. It's just flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people at Great West Casual live in South Sioux. And I would like to see more. And a lot of them would live here if they had some good housing. So
yeah,
Ho Chunk is building houses. Like I said, Hovey, Ogden, they're getting involved in starting some things, and Roy Perry. We just got to keep our eye on the ball and keep building homes. Like I said, we got to resist the temptation. The easy money, the easiest is to just keep building apartments, and nothing against apartments, but I'm just a believer in home ownership.
Yeah. That getting back to the apartment thing, the apartments that you were talking about, the public works meeting last night.
Uh-huh.
I know that there's been a number of people in council that I've talked to that were concerned that thing was more, they were more interested in building the apartments than they were building the houses. Mm-hmm. That it seemed like the houses were kind of an afterthought, mm-hmm. and that as I understand it, those houses have to be. That's part of the deal. You can't have one without the other, mm-hmm. and so I guess I guess I'm a little hesitant to kind of fall in line with that particular project because of that question.
Well, and some of the councilmen are too. They're still a little concerned there about that, and the deal that was made was for every 4 apartments that were built, you have to build a house. So it ended up being 75 houses are going to be built by a very reputable contractor, Roy Perry. And but and it was going to be for this apartment they were going to be built is going to be state of the art. It's going to be for veterans. It's going to be a economic incubator. People can start businesses. It's kind of like what Ho Chunk did out here with that little restaurant below the apartments down here. They had, now they've closed that restaurant. Mm-hmm. But it's talking about businesses different businesses that can be in there. And she was there. Her name was Kim Cooley. Was there last night at the meeting, and she was talking about all these businesses. But I think, and our attorney is ironclad that we're protected if we want to make this deal. But the jury is still out. I think that we're still going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. The council isn't totally done speaking about it. They still want to have more discussion. Same thing you just said. We're just, and even me, I'm just still not solid on that yet. And not saying I can't get there, but there will be, without the houses, there will be no apartments. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the concept for the apartment complex with the business stuff, I mean, that sounds really cool. Yeah. But I think the city right now, I think needs more of the single family housing than they do. A big apartment complex with a lot of bells and whistles to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. I'm not gonna say it's not, but what we've been talking about, do we really need another one?
Yeah.
We need 75 houses.
We need 75 houses, definitely.
So,
and I will say this: I am going to be moving at some point this summer, and I'm looking for an apartment at this point because I right now I want to. I don't have time to do all the responsibilities that come with owning a home, and so I mean with trying to rebuild the newspaper and everything. Yeah. But that is something I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to because I'm like a lot of these people driving back and forth to South Sioux every day is.
I give you credit.
Let's just call it an inconvenience, because I could use much stronger language.
That's not an easy road.
No, it's not. Not always an easy road, especially at 3 and 4 in the morning. Which.
Yeah.
or before sunrise.
Yeah.
There's I think the last couple of weeks I've actually driven home, just beat the sun home. So it was pretty late.
Yeah.
So we've been talking with Rod Koch, the mayor of South Sioux City, Nebraska, here on the Dakota County Star Podcast. I guess last question. I know it's a year before the next election, but are you gonna run for mayor again?
Yep, I'm gonna run one more time.
Run one more. Yep. Okay. Yep. And then what?
And then it's time to turn the keys over to somebody else. But I'll still be involved. Maybe they may not want me to be involved, but I will still be involved to help in any way I can for advice or.
Well, you're just a young buck compared to Lance. You know.
Well, Lance's age Lance was the same. He is now 20 years ago. He doesn't look any different.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't ever age.
Lance, I think, has been city administrator almost as long as you've been alive, hasn't he?
I know. Well, I tell you what. When I was in college and I was working on my master's, I had to do a deal in South Sioux City, and I had to visit with Lance about something. He was the city administrator.
Back then, huh?
Back then, and then as I worked for the city in my late teens, early 20s, he was my ultimate boss.
Uh-huh.
We had to. Whenever we saw Lance's car come around, we all had to act like we were working.
Well, you know what, Lance is. I've talked to him a few times, and he really. I mean, he's not your typical. How old is he?
I believe he's 75.
75. So most people 75. They've given up the ghost. They're like I'm just gonna enjoy life and spend time with family and do. He loves what he does. He absolutely loves what he's doing, even at that age, and for as long as he's been doing it. And I'm one of these people that if you love what you're doing, why stop?
And he is still sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Lance is, I laughed at him one day. Somebody got bit by a dog, and so I was talking about some kind of big electrical deal in a franchise. I mean, you were talking millions and millions of dollars. He goes, "Hey, hang on a minute." Me and two other guys, he had to take a call. The lady had to talk to him. She had just gotten something happened with a dog bite, and he had to go down there and take. This guy's he's doing soup to nuts. He is taking care of dog bites and little complaints about parking, and then all of a sudden he's in there in the middle of making a multi-million-dollar electrical recommendation to a bunch of people that he knows 10 times more than any of us.
Uh-huh.
And he that's just him. He's got the full gamut. He can, and he's an outstanding solution. He's a problem solver. He comes up with solutions, and that's what I really like about Lance. Lance sees a problem. He looks at problems like, he approaches it like, how can we solve it? We're not just stuck in the mud. He will make ideas, and he'll throw out alternatives. Mm-hmm. And I really I have just so much respect for him, and I have learned so much from him. And I've been lucky.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate that the time I've worked with a number of city administrators over the years, and in my various stops along the way, and Lance is he's a gem. He's kind of guy that I can call him on any question, and he knows the answer, or he knows where to get the answer, and does a fantastic job. We're probably going to have to figure out how to clone him before he finally does leave that position. Yeah. I think he and I might be in the same boat, because I love what I do. I've been in this business for 40 some years, and I people say, I have friends who say, "God, I can't wait to retire." And I'm like, you'll never hear that word come out of my mouth. I'm more likely to die on a football field on a Friday night than to actually retire.
Well, I tell you what, we really appreciate the job that you do for us. I give you a lot of respect. You always come to our meetings. You're always taking notes. You ask good questions. You've taken the time to get to know people. So I think your approach is get to know the communities you're covering, and you have done a good job in that. And that makes it easier for us to know you understand. Yeah,
that's one thing I noticed when I bought the paper, and I don't say this as criticism to the previous ownership that have been before, but I think the lack of a community connection, yes, I think was is part of the reason why. I've been here for almost it'll be a year on June 1st, in fact, and the one thing I have noticed when I tell people I'm from the Dakota County Star, they're like, "South Sioux has a newspaper?" Yeah. Yeah, we do. Been around for 109 years. Where you been? You know, but the thing I get out of that is that I think the previous ownership, not just the one I took over for, but the one that was before, they were not located here in town. They didn't have a connection here in town, and I will say that the guy I bought it from, I worked for Jason for 5 years in the position as editor of this paper beforehand. So I know what he was doing, and I know that he wanted to be a part of this community. Right. But it just when you're owning two different newspapers in two different towns, it's very, very tough.
Well, it's going to be nice for you because you walk in, everybody knows you.
Yeah,
that helps.
Well, but when you see this face, I mean, how can you not know it? I mean, it's there's an old saying in the business: this guy's got a face made for radio, and
that's good.
Self-deprecation is my game.
There you go.
Mr. Mayor, thank you a lot for taking time to talk to us on the podcast this week. And
yeah, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
You bet. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about the city here, and we'll hope to have you back sometime.
Anytime. Just give me a call.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here, and we'll come back and tell you what's coming up in this week's edition of the Dakota County Star, coming up next here on the Dakota County Star Podcast. Hey, have you got a tub full of old photos that you'd like to move out of your storage unit? Old negatives that you wish you could turn into prints? How about turning that big old heavy tub full of memories into a flash drive you can carry around in your pocket? Stop by here at the Dakota County Star, and we can convert those old photos and negatives into digital images that you can easily store on the media of your choice, whether it's a DVD or a flash drive. Come see me, Mikey C, at the Dakota County Star for more information, and open up some space in the basement for all that other stuff you're hanging on to, like baseball cards, train sets, all that important stuff. Get the photos to us, and we can take care of that for you. All right, so we're back here with the paper portion of the podcast. Tell you what's coming up in this week's edition of the newspaper. If you happen to be driving on Highway 20 going into Iowa there, as you go east out of town and you look off to the south, you might be seeing some mud on or used to be soil, but now it's dirt that's being turned over, and that is where the new horse race track is going to be located. We talked with Lance Morgan from Ho-Chunk, and I got a story on the first dirt being turned on what is going to be called the Atticad track. They're going to keep the name Atticad from where it has been historically. And kind of an update on the casino construction. I know that a lot of us who like to gamble and would rather do it in Nebraska than take it across the road to Iowa, been anxious to see when the casino would be built here in South Sioux City, and kind of an update on how that has all progressed. Now, if you don't know, Ho-Chunk actually owns 3 of the 6 casinos in Nebraska. They own the one in Omaha and the one in Lincoln, and they decided that those markets were more, accessible, I guess would be the nice word to say, to build those in those markets right away, because there's no competition. With Sioux City right across the road here, you also have a couple of casinos down to the south. This area actually has, Lance was telling me that this area actually has the biggest per capita of gambling in the country. So rather than trying to jump into that market and compete at this point in time, they thought they'd get those other 2 casinos built and then use the revenue from that to kind of move their financial stuff around so that they could get the casino in South Sioux City going. And that's looking to start probably be about this time next year that new casino will be starting up. So that's kind of lead story in this week's issue of the Dakota County Star. There's also a story about a South Sioux City individual who was recently charged with sexual assault of a minor. There's a little story on that as well. A couple weeks ago, we had a story on a digital billboard that was going up on, or proposed to be going up on Highway 77, and we kind of had a correction to that story. In that story 2 weeks ago, we said that it was going to be going up, and it was actually put on hold. There's some language that needs to be figured out there with the the years that the company wants to run that digital billboard, and so that was discussed at the Public Works meeting on Monday night, and we have that story in the paper as well. Hey, congratulations to Dr. Ronnie Ortega. He was named the Leadership Dakota County Leader of the Year. That was done last week, and we have a little information on that. Turning to the sports page, a busy week in sports. These last 2 weeks of the school year in sports, just a lot of stuff going on. The soccer team from South Sioux City High School engaged in quite a ball game in the semifinals on Friday night. We got a story on that. They came up short in that one, but a great match, and boys got nothing to hanging their heads on. They played a tremendous match and just came up short. We had district golf and district track going on, and we've got some kids from the area that'll be competing in both of those events. District track or state track actually got started on Wednesday. We had a couple of kids from South Sioux competing in that on Wednesday and Thursday, and then C action starting Friday and Saturday there in Omaha. Also, some news from our hometown correspondents. All 5 of our correspondents checking in this week, and we've got news from each of the communities in our coverage area, and so you can check that out in this week's edition of the Dakota County Star. Of course, the Star available at a variety of locations around town, including Hy-Vee in South Sioux City and several other places, and you can pick up a copy there. You can also get your subscription started. Give us a call at 402-494-4264. You might want to get that done in the next week or so, because the subscription rates are going to go up. We've got some some postal rates that have gone up that we need to take into account as far as our ability to pay for all of that every week. So subscription rates are going to be going up on June 1st. So you want to get your subscription renewed if you haven't done so already. And you can do that just by giving us a call here at the paper. And also, speaking of subscriptions, if you stop by the office and you mention Noodles, of course, the Director of Security here at the office, if you mention her name, you'll get an extra 2 months added onto that. So 14 months for the price of 12. All you got to do is say Noodles. If she happens to be here when you walk in, you can even say hi to her. She can kind of check you out and make sure that you're on the up and up, and that there's nobody that she has to get mean and violent with. Of course, she's a Chihuahua. But how violent is she going to get? Not really. She's just a really good dog. So come by and get your subscription updated before the rates go up on the 1st of June. So that's going to do it for this edition of the podcast. Again, I want to thank Mayor Rod Koch from the South City of South Sioux City who stopped by today and had a nice little chat with him. We got kind of updated on some stuff going on around in the city, and we appreciate his taking the time to talk with us on that. So we'll have another guest in next week, and we'll tell you more about what's going on in South Sioux City, and you can keep up to date on what's happening in South Sioux with the Dakota County Star. Check us out online at www.daksostar, that's DACCOStar.com. That'll do it for this week. Mikey C checking out. Have yourselves a good Memorial Day weekend. Be safe out on the roads, and make sure you take the time to honor those who have given their lives so that you and I can be free. Have yourselves a good one. We'll see you next week here on the Dakota County Star Podcast.